Getting up quickly to 18 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Good to have you with us here on the South African morning. Happy Africa Day, by the way. You'll notice we've dressed, well, I haven't dressed as beautifully as you have. I've tried with my little tie as well as we celebrate Africa Day here on eNCA and around the country and around the continent. So good to have you with us. And also not going anywhere, enjoying the coffee, I hope. Mr. Bongani Bongo staying with us for the next couple of minutes, very kindly coming in to join us this morning. There's still a lot we want to talk about. We spoke about ANC earlier, but I'm sure a lot of people tweeting you, a lot of people tweeting us at eNCA at ANC. Wow, that was a Freudian slip. Yeah, I'm trending on this one at eNCA.
Yeah.
Wrong way around. Can we talk about the court case? How are we feeling about the court case and the legal action that you're busy dealing with at the moment? I'm sure many people want to see how you're feeling. Are we fighting? Are we waiting for courts to do what they need to do? How are we feeling?
No, the court, like I said earlier, the court has moved very well. The one in Cape Town. We appeared in the court, and at the close of the state case, we applied for what we call Section 104 discharge. That is in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act. And the judge said there was no case to answer. Those allegations which were raised by the state were unfounded, and they don't deserve me getting to the box to answer anything about them. But you'll note the damage that they had already made. That case, the charges are what we call Schedule 1 offense. Schedule 1 offense is those charges that are trivial charges like perjury and so on. So they fall within that category. But after I have won that case, surprisingly, the state decided to appeal a Schedule 1 offense. And we are going to be hearing the appeal on the 5th of September. The date has been set now for the 5th of September. And the other case in Bombela, summarizing the charges, which I've always said, I actually have nothing to do with this. Summarizing the charges was that a money which was paid to my ex-wife, it's a man that was meant for me. So there's nothing that links me direct to what had happened, except that I had an ex-wife, and the money which was paid to, not paid to, a car which belonged to my brother was at some point driven by me. So that is what they are saying, that I'm indirectly connected to these two things. So there are only two charges that are linked to me out of all those things. And in that case, it's not the state versus Bongani Bongo. It's the state versus Robert some white guy who lives in Nelspruit. And but for some reasons in the media, they are saying it's a state versus Bongani Bongo.
So you're talking about Robert Barwise?
Robert Barwise, yes. So for some reason, some people are driving a narrative which is wrong, which is why we are saying before you can take any decision about any individual, you've got to use an objective test so that you can take certain decisions.
So for those who are watching at home, I mean, obviously, I understand when you say you respect the law, you want to take its course, that's the law in South Africa. We have to allow due process to happen. But for those watching at home that have this opportunity to hear it from your mouth and want you to put them in your confidence, did you attempt to bribe ESCOM inquiry evidence leader, Vanar?
Under no circumstances I attempted to bribe that ESCOM inquiry advocate. And part of what I was telling the court was that he did not have capacity to be bribed to change any decision. So a person at my level, astute as I am, I cannot approach, if I want to bribe Gareth, I can't approach a cleaner. I will come to you, Gareth, and talk to you. So in that case, it's like they said, I approach somebody who does not have any capacity whatsoever to can change a decision. So it is indeed absurd, and we still looking for him, because I have opened a criminal case of perjury, of lying against me. The police in Cape Town called me recently, wanting to know that I'm still pursuing the case because they've changed the investigating office. That case itself is still going to be heard by the court.
Why do you think people are out to target you for? You say that you're being accused of lying and you've denied it, but who would want to do this to you? Why? Well, you must have a view on where this might be coming from. Yes, we're talking about a criminal issue in this case, but is there a political element in here? You spoke earlier about you don't know who hates you, who likes you. Is there a political tie-in, or are people after you?
Yes, there is certainly political motivation. You know, we represent, in the political sphere, we represent those who want land to be returned to the people. We represent those who want expropriation of land without any compensation. And that is an ideologically contested matter in this country. So as we raise these views, certain quarters are not happy with what we think must happen about the economy of this country. We represent those who think that actually we are part of the National Democratic Project. So the National Democratic Project has identified unemployment, inequality and poverty as the enemy of the people of this country. And we think that to create a dent to this enemy of the people is to ensure that the economy is shared equitably. Because you know that up until now the economy is still within the hands of very few individuals who are very wealthy and powerful. If you raise a voice, they say you are corrupt. If you raise a voice, they do things that are unthinkable. You'll note that in 2019, there was a poison administered on me. I nearly died in 2019 because of the views that we were advancing. So I had to stay in the hospital for more than 2 months. Thereafter, I had to go to Cuba to get the poison to be finally removed. And every day we have challenges. So the views that we have are views that are contested by those who are wealthy and those who think they must claim monopoly on the resources of this country.
But also, it seems even with this agenda, this democratic plan agenda that you speak about, that you are obviously responsible for as a party, as a government official, as a parliamentarian, there are also allegations that are thrown at you of interference. One that I'm reminded of, former Inspector General of Intelligence, Isaac Dinjo, I'm sure you know of this one very well, saying that you interfered in his investigation and tried to neutralize the power of this office. Did you interfere? Because on one end, there were allegations of attempted bribery. Now there are allegations of interference. Yet at the same time, you say you have an agenda of a democratic plan. But do you interfere with departmental work?
There was no interference. I was a Minister of State Security. And then there is what we call Inspector General. In terms of the legislative framework, the Inspector General also reports to the Minister. But what was an omission in legislation in terms of the work the Inspector General does is that he was also reporting to the DG administratively. So from time to time, what I was attempting to do was to deal with this conflict. The conflict that the Inspector General must do his or her work in an independent way. But if the money from the Inspector General comes from the very same DG who must be inspected by the Inspector General, it was a problem. So that created a conflict between the then Director General Ada Fraser and Mr. Dinto. So I then mediated to that conflict with a view that we need and empowering legislation that will put that office as an independent body that stands alone, so that it can do its work without fear or favor. So as there were issues, I then set my own views. One of the views that I raised, which I still hold, and I will still hold it, after Mr. Arthur Fraser go and do work in DRC, the Inspector General comes and say, I'm going to inspect what he was doing in the DRC. I said, that is absurd. It's not inspecting, and that is not oversight. That is not how I understand oversight. My understanding of oversight is different from the fact that whenever the DG wants to go to do some work, you follow after. My understanding of oversight is that we look into documents, we take presentation, at some point we look at complaints that are being brought, but we can't be a policing. That was my understanding. And to him, that was, I'm trying to curtail his power. So I have this understanding, and I stand by this understanding of how oversight must be done.
And that's where the difference came in. That's where the difference of what is being called either interference or, as you say, oversight. The reason I'm jumping in, Mr. Bongo, forgive me, because we are heading very quickly to 8 o'clock. And I just want to get, if you don't mind, in terms of just your thoughts, ANC elective conference, before we say goodbye to you, who are you going to be supporting in this conference? Second term for the current president, Zweli Mkhize. There's a bunch of names being thrown around. Your name? Very quickly.
The ANC conference is not an individual conference, and the processes of an ANC conference are very detailed. Like now, I hear in the media they are saying this one is going to get a second term in terms of this province and that province. Provinces have not yet set for that purpose. Provinces have set to elect their regional structures, their provincial structures. What is the process that is going to start now? It's a process of branches sitting, nominating delegates who must go to a national conference. So it is in that branch executive committee meetings where names will be forwarded.
I understand. It's a very hefty process, and we'll get to that in December. But would you support, for example, President Ramaphosa as Bongani Bongo? Would you support President Ramaphosa for a second term? I mean, eventually you're going to have to cast a vote. I know you're suspended currently, but eventually you'll have that say. Yes or no?
I am going to be guided by my branch in terms of the deliberations. But you must note that in 2017. I had supported a view that the ANC needs a woman president, because an organization that is over 100 years old, which is non-racial, non-sexist, democratic,
is there intending
to lead a prosperous country, must also be seen to be doing certain things around its principles. I'll consult with my branch at home and then convince. But the view that will be carried by my branch is the view that next time you call me for an interview, I will tell you my branch, after serious consultation, this is the name that was nominated and supported, and what are the reasons. But that will happen when the process starts.
But you would like to see a woman president?
I think we are a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, intending to build a prosperous country. So we must be seen to be responding to the issues that our country faces.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Bongani Bongo. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
This morning. And, of course, I know you have to travel again to Limpopo, as you mentioned, for Africa Day addresses in Limpopo. But thank you so much for coming
on. Thank you very much, Gareth.
Good morning. Yeah, that's right. We really appreciate the time coming in to speak to us today. We're heading up quickly to 8 o'clock. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with our headline stories in a couple of minutes from now, just after 4 or 5 minutes from